Hello, Gen 5 Pokemon ROM hackers, and welcome to my tutorial on learning the basics of script editing. I've seen a lot of people asking for help with how to write certain types of scripts, or just wondering if there's any video tutorials on this sort of thing. And I do sort of get it. Scripting is kind of complicated, sort of like learning a programming language even, but that is why I wanted to make this video, to help people get started. The tool we're going to be using is this Frost Gen 5 ROM editor. You can download it from the GitHub link, which is right here. Currently the version is 2.0.1, which included a lot of changes to how scripting works. So before we begin, I suggest you make sure you have the latest version of it. You can download it on the releases page right here. Once you open it up, you can select the ROM, and that'll allow you to access all of these editors down here. The main ones we're going to be interested in are the overworld, script editor, and text editor, and I'll explain how all those work in a minute. What we're going to be going over is how to make a basic Hello World script, as well as some of the most common things that people might want to do with scripting. But to start, we're actually not going to use this yet. We're going to open up the game in our emulator and figure out where the script that we're going to be using is located. For example, this is Flockasty Town here, which is an overworld. For example, if we want to go into this house here, this is also considered a different overworld, and it'll have its own script file. We're going to be sticking with this smaller area here just because there's less going on, so there's less things to get confused over or potentially break. What we can do is talk to an NPC, for example. This person talks about their pet rat. Okay, and now we have that. Now we can use the text to know where, to know what file the script is located in. So now we're going to open up the overworld editor. And we're looking for a Flockasty Town map, which you can see there's a bunch here. Normally the first one is the overworld portion, but if we skip ahead and we open up the text file, you can see what people are saying in that map. So for example here, this is the Alder's house, where you fight the two elemental monkeys. The fights you do here. But if we keep going, here, this is the one we're looking at. So now, once we've found it, we can open up the script editor. Basically, the overworld has scripts and text files associated with it. So by starting with the overworld editor, it's easiest to figure out how to associate all of them. But now we have the script file, what we want to do is export it. And what this is going to be is a .c file, which is where all of the scripts are going to be written down. This is file 882, so we'll just call it that. And then we can open it up. So, I have this opened up in Visual Studio Code. You can also do this in another editor like Notepad++ or Visual Studio. I just like this because it's very lightweight, while also having the ability to use C-specific formatting like autocomplete and things like that. So, now we can see all of the scripts that are in the script file. These are, in this case, all the different NPCs that we can talk to. If we go back to our text editor, we can look through the lines of text and see that the NPC we talk to is line 3. And so we can use that to determine this message. It says line 3, so this is the one we're going to want to use. All the others we don't have to worry about. Now, if we break up the sequence here, we can have a look at what's actually going on. So first up, these three. Lock all, play sound, and face player. You are pretty much always going to use these in a script where you're talking to an NPC. Lock all, what it does is it stops everything from moving Simple enough. Play sound is just the confirmation sound effect. Can actually be used to play any sound, but 1351 specifically is the one that's always used. And then face player makes the NPC you just talked to look at the player. Simple enough. And then down at the bottom here, these are how you end the script. Wait moment, unlock all, kind of just like undoes the lock all. And then end is what actually stops the script and gives control back to the player. Now, if we set those aside, we can look at this middle section, which is where the actual logic is happening. In this case, all we have is a message, which is line 3 of the text file, and then it waits for the player to press a button and then closes the message, and then goes to the end of the script. So if we want to start editing the script here, we're just going to be adding things to this section. Just as a simple example, since we want to start with a hello world sort of script, what we can do is, if we add lines to the text editor here, we can do something like type in hello world, apply. Now let's add a new message command here, which is going to be same parameters as the other one, except we want line 5, because that's the one we just added. And we can go ahead and remove the other one. Now, if in our script editor here, we can import this file. And then once that's done, we can save the ROM. And then once we open up the ROM again and talk to this person, we get hello world. Simple enough. So the way scripting ultimately works is there is a lot of different commands that do different things. The way you can find these commands are, if we open up, this is the folder we've been working in, under the script headers file, these have all the different commands you're able to use. In this case, we're looking at the frost script commands black white 2, but you need a different one depending on if you're using black white 1, for example, that has different commands, or there's these beater script commands which are similar to how other editors are formatted. And you'll see there are hundreds of commands to choose from. So ultimately, you can go off the documentation, but actually, the best way to learn how to use a certain script is to try to find another script in the game that does a similar thing, and then basically copy the code from that. So now let's try adding a bit more to this script. One question I see a lot is how to make an NPC give the player an item. And for that, we actually need 3 different commands in a way. Specifically, we want setVar equal to value, and the parameters are 0x8000. And then the value here is the item ID that we want to give the player. For example, 1 is the Master Ball, so we can do that. And then after that, we need to set setVar equal val 8001, and we'll set that to some other value. And this is going to be the amount of the item to give. And then once we've done that, we want the call global script function. And the global script is 2805 is the one for giving an item. I'll explain a bit more about how these work later, but we're basically passing the variables along to this function to tell it what item to give. Going back to the game, when I talk to the NPC, I get 1 Master Ball, which is exactly what we're trying to do. Another thing we can try is giving the player a Pokemon. This would be like a gift Pokemon, for example, your starter, or something like that. And this is simply done with the give Pokemon command. Because we're using Visual Studio, you can see we have these parameters are labeled. Return var, this is going to be 0x8010. I'll talk about what that means later. For the Pokemon ID, we can do whatever we want. I'll just say 3 for Venusaur, why not? The form was usually 0. That's like Pokemon like Rotom or Gastrodon who have alternate forms. And then the level is whatever. Put whatever you want there. Testing it in game again, you see I talk to the NPC. And you'll notice that I do get a text box saying that I obtained the Master Ball, but I don't get one for the Pokemon I got. However, you can see I do have it. This is an easy fix. If we head to the text editor, we simply need to add a message saying we received a Venusaur. And then after we give the Pokemon, we can add, what we actually want here is a event gray message. This is used for things like system messages that aren't actually spoken by NPCs in the world. Once again, we need the line number, which is 6. And position can be 0. And then after that, we need a close event gray message, as opposed to the close message box up here. So testing it out again, you can see the player obtained a Master Ball. And then, oh, okay. So, what happened there, I forgot to add one extra command. I believe it is this one. Oh, and while I'm doing this, why don't we also add a fanfare here. To do that, we can use the play fanfare command. And the fanfare ID is 1304 is the one we're looking for. This is the one that usually plays when you receive a Pokemon. And then, actually put that here. And then after the message, we can do a wait fanfare, which is gonna let it play out before letting the commands move on. So now it looks more like what you'd see in the actual game. There you go. But then what happens if the player's party is full? If this happens, then the commands will keep running, but you don't actually receive the Pokemon, which is not what we want. So there's a few ways we can handle this. For example, that's where this return variable comes in. What happens is this 0x8010 will get set to 1 if the player was given the Pokemon, or 0 if the player was not given the Pokemon for some reason. This is where we get into branching if statements and things like that, which be a little more complicated, but luckily this scripting language actually makes it a bit easier. So just for an easy example, we can do if 0x8010 equals 0, then we're going to run some different code. For example, we can grab these, copy them here, set it to line 7 for now. We'll change that in a minute. But then if it did not, or if 0x10 is 1, then we know we got the Pokemon, so we'll play the normal fanfare and all that. Then in the text editor, we'll just have a message saying your party is full. And to test that out, you can see I have 5 empty slots at the moment, so if I press this once, I get the Venusaur. I press it twice, I get the Venusaur. When I press it the 6th time, you'll see we also have no room for Master Balls, but it says my party is full because I wasn't able to receive the Pokemon. Now, when we did that, you'll also notice that the NPC allowed me to receive the Pokemon multiple times, which is usually not how it works. So let's take a look at how to fix that as well. So in order to make things only happen once, we have to start looking into story flags and story variables. Basically, these are bits of data that we can access through scripts that are saved onto the player's save file, and will stay that way unless you change them again. Let's say after we receive the Pokemon, we want to set flag, and then the flag ID. Generally, if you stick within the 500 to 600 range for flags, then that's fairly safe. Basically, if you use certain flags, then they may override other flags that the story already uses, which can mess with some things. Now we need the script to not give the player the Pokemon if this flag is set. this, we can use the command or var flag status. Not that one. What is it? Get var set var flag status. That's the one. The flag ID is 500, and then we want to use a variable. 0x8000 is fine. Basically, what's happening here is this 0x8000 variable is going to be set to a certain value based on whether flag 500 is set. Similar to what we did here with 0x8010. So if we want to make this really simple, we can say if 0x8000 is equal to 0, then we'll go through with this script. If it's not set to 0, then we'll just skip over it and end the script. Now you'll see that the first time I talk to the NPC, I'll get the Master Ball and I'll get the Venusaur. However, if I keep talking to them, I won't get them anymore. And I only ever get the one Venusaur. So every time you use a flag, you can't use it again, because then they would override each other and it would create all sorts of bugs and stuff. So basically, every time you want to add a flag to any script, you want to like increment it by 1, for example. So next time, because I'm using flag 500 here, next time I want to use flag 501 and then 502 and so on. So the last thing I want to go over is movement commands, which is another big aspect of cutscenes if you want to have characters move around and interact with each other. So let's get rid of all of this. And we'll instead use the movement. So there is the apply movement command, but we don't actually want to use that because there is a better way to do it. So what that's going to look like is movement m equals, and then open brackets. This is effectively creating an integer array, but the editor is going to read it as something different. We also need to specify what NPC is going to move. And to do that, we need this commented out thing here. So even though it's commented out, it is actually part of the code. So just keep that in mind. And for this, we do need to know the NPC ID, which means let's go to the overworld editor. And this is sequence 1, so we're actually looking for the NPC with script ID 2. It's offset by 1 because a script ID of 0 means it has no script. And then inside of this array, we can specify what we want the NPC to do. For example, we can walk up. And then however many times you want to do it, like 1 for example. We can make it walk to the right by 2. This also handles things like, for example, an exclamation point. You can put that up there. So it's not just moving characters around, but that is the main thing it's used for. We can also do, for example, look up or look down. And basically every instruction you want the NPC to do is going to be what the instruction is and then how many times to perform it. And that's what's going to build up the array. And then once we have that, we also need to do wait movement, which is going to say, don't let the script continue until this is done. Now, importing that, it'll look something like this. So, 2 things to note with this. 1, the NPC doesn't go back to their original position unless you explicitly tell them to. And then they also don't follow collision. So you can see the NPC just walked right through me. Or if I talk to her again, it'll go into the wall. This is just something you have to account for when writing the movement is, first of all, where's the player? If the player can be in different spots, then you might have to account for different situations. And you may also have to just write different movements and like change between them if necessary. That's pretty much all the basics. Once you understand these, there's obviously still a lot more to learn, but you can get a lot of the basic stuff done. So hopefully this was helpful. If you still need help on the GitHub page, you'll see there's a link to my Discord where I can help you more if you need it. Other than that, I hope you have a good day, and good luck with your scripting projects.